it does.
Hello YouTubers, you're here with Chevron, and I'm going to be doing a first place Salamangreat Sky Striker deck profile that I recently topped with at my local store championships. It was a 8-round day. By the end of the day, I ended up going 7-1. The guy I lost to, and I ended up beating in the finals. So it was a fairly crazy day altogether. So I'll quickly just run through the deck profile first for the people who are just interested in seeing the deck, and then I'll put on a bit of a discussion on the meta about the day and how the cards and the choices of the deck really ended up helping me. So yeah, let's get straight to it. So I'm going to be doing the deck profile a bit differently this time around, but let's start with the monsters. So the 3 Spinny, 1 Gazelle, and 3 Foxy, very standard. Seeing Spinny and Foxy in your hand is just amazing, sets up everything you need, and depending on what the rest of your hand looks like, you can go pretty nuts. 2 Jack Jaguar and 1 Falco, and believe me when I say this, please always play 2 Jack Jaguars. It's not just for the Abyss Dweller play. If you do play Abyss Dweller, it's also there for when you hit the grind game. It is your way to keep shuffling back your resources. If you only play 1 copy and it gets banished on you, you're kind of stuffed and the grind game will be hell. 3 Flame Buffalo, 1 Lady Debug, and 2 CR Crabber. CR Crabber is great because it also combos with your Foxy and Spinny. Very good extended. It helps make you Mirage Stallion a lot easier. 3 Flame Buffalo is a very good card. It helps you dig your next 2 cards. Much stronger after side as well. Helps you dig out your sided cards if you don't open them. I never cut it after side. I always keep it at 3. I think it's just too good. And I don't know why people have been cutting Lady Debug, because Lady Debug is a 1 card full Salamangreat board, and depending on what the rest of your hand looks like, you can go pretty nuts and set up pretty crazy boards. And for my last monster of the main board, it is Ash Blossom. Ash Blossom was crazy on the day. There were so many negates I did, and adding it back off the Silent Wolf, negating even more, as well as bring back traps for free. So much free negate you get from Salamangreats while running Ash. So I just say just main board, 3 copies of it. It without a doubt did so much damage to other players on the day, and I do not regret playing this card. So with the spells, I want to start off with the Sky Striker engine that I ran. It was 3 Engage, 1 Widow Anchor, 1 Hornet Drones, and 1 Afterburners. If I didn't mention yet, this was a go second blind deck. It was really crazy on the day. It was very hard for people to deal with the way I ran the deck, but pretty much the Engage engine, the Sky Striker engine in the Salamangreat build I was going for, I played a very high spell count, so 80% of the time when I played the first Engage, I was getting a draw off the first one, and then probably 90% of the time I was only getting it off the second one. But it was still insane. Being able to add just outs from your deck to hand on the spot that Salamangreats usually can't deal with, like Widow Anchor saved me from a lot of games from like just blanket monsters that would have just been a pain, and it really pushed out a lot of OTKs as well. And Hornet Drones is there for Kagari. If Hornet Drones gets banned, you most likely won't be seeing me on this build anymore, so this is probably going to be the last time I do a deck profile or anything to do on Salamangreat Strikers, because I expect Hornet Drones to be banned. And Afterburners was really good on the day. Being able to pop a monster and a spell and trap remove so many threats and help me push out for the OTK swing, or if I couldn't get the OTK, I was freely able to set up my big like just monster back row board, because there was very little interruption I had to worry about. And Sky Strikers was just an amazing splash I did for Salamangreats. Pretty much forced out 50% of the games as a win for my side on their own, being able to top decks engage in like in the grind situation and just getting free draws and just free outs to whatever I'm facing. And it was a fairly unfair advantage it kept making me, but it worked for the day, and it was just very crazy. For the Salamangreat spells, I ran 2 Will, 1 Circle, and 1 Sanctuary. With the Will, I preferred out 2. As 3, I was bricking too much. I only really want to see it in my open if I need that extra extension, because I've semi-bricked, or if we're in the late game, Will just becomes insane, just being able to rebuild your board over and over again. So I didn't want to see double copies, so I think 2 is fine, and I didn't really miss the 3rd one on the day. 3 Cosmic Cyclone, 3 Minings, and 3 Super Polymerizations. So again, blind going second. Super Polys are crazy on the day. There was probably one matchup where I didn't want to see it, which was against Subterra. I saw it once, which was a hard brick, but it was instantly sided out for evenly matched. And Silent Mining, always great to see, being able to discard a Salamangreat that likes being in the grave and just adding any starter that you need. And Cyclone helped me amazingly on the day. Just being able to just spot removal, negate negate traps, or just any floodgates or anything just problematic on a spell trap, or just if they have like just the one face down, you just remove it, and it gets rid of that fear so you can just open your board freely. And for my traps in the main board, I just played one Raw and one Rage. So with running the Sky Striker engine and using Engage as the draw factor of the deck, instead of Pot of Desires, I didn't have to run into a situation where I may banish it off the Desires. So running one of each copy just became so much easier, and you only really want to send it once to get the out of Sunlight Wolf. So the engine was great, and with the Sky Strikers complementing Raw and Rage, just went really amazing for me. So to start the extra deck off, we have 3 Bailings, 3 Sunlight Wolf, and 2 Heatleo. Sunlight Wolf was a bloody monster on the day. Being able to add 2 cards a turn for free is just crazy. Possibly 2 cards on your turn and 1 on your opponent if you have your Gazelle in your hand and a zone to special summon the zone to the zone Sunlight Wolf points to. But yeah, Wolf being able to add the trap negation or maybe Ash or Gazelle every turn is just crazy. It's so much free plus, and in the grind game, Sunlight Wolf can really hold your opponent down. And to not cut Heatleo out, Heatleo did so much damage against back row decks on the day. I went through plays where I was just removing back row just back row one after the other, so using Cosmic into Heatleo into another Heatleo, just removing 3 and just opening up just plays in my board. Just gaining all that advantage just became insane, and Bailings just protects Salamangreats, and such as the field spell, which is amazing as well. It's crazy deck, and I've been having so much fun on it. But let's keep going. So more of the links: 1 Kagari, 1 Borrower Dragon, and 1 Phoenix. All 3 of these cards just went mental on the day. Kagari being able to add back Engage just to get the free draw again and free add, just amazing. Phoenix, every time I summoned to use his effect, he was pretty much always co-linked either under the Bailings or under Sunlight Wolf. I went through stages in the game where I went Bailings into Phoenix, get the pop and draw, and then I went into Heatleo to remove more back row afterwards. And Borrow Dragon, I pretty much went into him every round. Just being able to remove big threats on the board and just swing with the threat they just summoned against you. Pretty much the best link for I personally reckon for Salamangreats. I will never pick anything over Borrow Dragon. Borrow Dragon got me out of situations I shouldn't have won. So yeah, big thumbs up for Borrow. So before we get to the fusions, let's not forget the Salamangreat Murad Stalio, which I bounced so many things that were threats off Stalio, and it's just a great key piece for the Salamangreat combo. Being able to get any Salamangreat monster out of the deck that you do not already have in the grave, just to keep your big board going and rebuilding every turn. It's just amazing the amount of work Stalio can do. But onto the fusions, we have Salamangreat Violent Chimera, Starving Venom Fusion Dragon, and Predaplant Drag Stapelia. So Drag Stapelia was pretty much the fusion monster I went into the most, mainly because when we went to with the top 16 cut, a lot of the decks really pretty much there was a high count of Mech Knight invoked, and you also had pendulums, so easy targets, especially against Mech Knight invoke. If they drop Alistar, or Macabre, I mean, and they have Alistar on field, or they try to summon normal summon the Alistar, it could really stuff them, because I just super poly get rid of the, 2 of their key pieces already. Starving Venom Fusion Dragon went into a fair bit as well, with the meta being very reliant on Double Dark. You usually get him out a fair bit. So with Salamangreat Violent Chimera, I actually went into him in the mirror match. So what happened was I was versing so Salamangreat was very high in a high count in the top 16 as well, and in the mirror match against one of the Salamangreat players, he decided to super poly me first, so he went into his Violent Chimera, and then I super polyed him. So he tried to super poly me in mid combo, and then I super polyed him back using his Violent Chimera and just swing over his last monster for the OTK, because anything Violent Chimera attacks into, when his fusion summoned it into himself, their attack becomes 0, and then he instantly gets his double attack, which is immediately OTK. With Dragstopia, to further comment on it, not only is such a good instant fusion target, it also negates monsters while it's on the field. You can put a Predaplant on a monster once per turn as a quick effect, and it just negates that monster's effect that was activated, so that is very crazy as well. And let's get to the side deck. So starting with the monsters in the side deck, I ran 3 Lancia, 3 DD Crow, and 2 Nibiru. Nibiru came in a fair bit today. I did land a couple sweet Nibirus that really determined the outcome of the game. DD Crow, I sided in pretty much 80% of the games. The amount of decks DD Crow can hit is it's pretty insane. Hits Orcus, hits Salamangreats, hits Sky Strikers. You can stop the engage and extra plus. You just hit any key pieces out with Orcus and Salamangreats if they try to combo off. And against Invoked, it was a very big side in target against the Invoked Mech Knights that were roaming around on the day. And out of effect Lancia, I think only sided in once on the day, mainly because only one Orcus deck made in the top 16. Our meta is very rough against Orcus because we just all hate Orcus, so it was very tough for them to make it in the top 16, and a lot of people feared playing the deck. So yeah, only sided in once. And to finish off the side deck, I had 2 Nightmare Corrupted Ibli, 2 Twin Twisters, and 3 Evenly Matched. Nightmare Corrupted Ibli hands down just won me a full round on its own. As soon as I sided in, my opponent tried siding in Nibirus. I opened Ibli, and my opponent opened 2 Nibirus, and they can't Nibiru you once you use the Ibli play, because you give your opponent Ibli, and it stops you from special summoning unless it feels a link monster, therefore they cannot use Nibiru. So I was freely able to open up my board without having to worry of a Nibiru drop, and they couldn't just do much after that, after I was able to successfully open up the full board, and I just took control of the game that way. And Twin Twisters and Evenly Matched pretty much came in as a duo every time I sided them in. It was also always against the back row deck. Versus Subterrors, I think it was on the 6th round, and Evenly Matched and Twin Twisters just does so much work, and I was able to take control of the game with being able to remove all the back row key pieces that the Subterror player needed. So yeah, that's pretty much me done with the deck profile. Hopefully I didn't take too long on it, but to add further comments about this deck, I don't think it will be viable after the January ban list, mainly because if Hornet Drones gets banned, you will no longer be able to splash Sky Striker, but it's not such a big deal because Salamangreat is very strong on its own. I personally think the Sky Striker engine was an insane boost to the deck in general, but to further note on that, Sky Striker, the 6 Sky Striker cards in my main board were my most sided out cards. So pretty much in the situations I was in with the games, my opponent was like, oh, he's running Sky Strikers, so they try to play around it. So what I did was I just sided all 6 of the Sky Striker cards out, and I'll bring in just very hard outs that were just able to greatly affect what I was versing. So against Subterror, I pretty much sided out all 6 targets, and I'll bring in the 2 Twin Twisters, 3 Evenly Matched, and 1 of whatever else I felt at the time. I couldn't remember what the 6th card is, so I'm not going to mention it. But yeah, there was a lot of situations like that. And say against Mech Knights, I was very expecting the heavy hand trap plums. They just very big load of hand trap coming in after the side. So I went for the Nibblies, I went for DD Crow, and I just tried to control and keep a stable game that way. So yeah, it's very strong going second blind with the Sky Striker engine, but after siding out, it's pretty much whatever. It really depends on what I'm versing at the time. So Mech Knight, with the Invoked Mech Knights, they like going second, so you've got to make them go first. So being able to hit them with DD Crow becomes great as well. And yeah, it was just a very good day. And for the meta talk, actually, with the day, we actually had 3 Invoked Mech Knights in the top 16, 3 Salamangreat players, and then we also had the 1 Orcus player, and there was a lot of other stuff as well, like Subterror. You had Pendulums. You pretty much had them all on the day, but Sky Strikers, so when it went down to the top 6 left, there was actually all 3 Sky Striker, all 3 Salamangreat players made it to the 6 finalists, which was pretty great. A feel for the Salamangreat players. Pretty much all 3 of them were playing a Super Poly variant, and with Super Poly, it pretty much made a very big difference on the day, being able to just clear out board, because Salamangreats can spam out the board so quickly. If you can break board instantly, you can pretty much swing for the OTK to follow it up. Keep in mind, try to normal summon a Salamangreat monster and go into your banlings before you super poly, so you don't block yourself out from the extra deck. So, I did that once and I've regretted it straight away. I actually had to drop that game, but I was able to quickly fix the mistakes and pick up game 2 and 3. But yeah, I made that mistake, and I remember not to do that again. Usually I remember to, but I shotgun super poly too early without thinking, and that was greatly my mistake there. But yeah, it was a fairly interesting day. So the one person I lost to was against the one of the Mech Knight invokes. What happened was he just ended up picking way too many of my Salamangreat cards from my grave, and then I did not see any side tech to be able to use against him, so it was a very hard match in game 3. So yeah, it wasn't looking so good, but when we met in the 8th round again, it was definitely not like that. I saw my side of cards, I saw super polys, I saw everything. So game 1 and game 2 was pretty much very heavily sided on me being able to see all my good cards and just break board and push for OTK. So yeah, so to wrap this up, I will be adding links in the description and the comment below of rounds 6, 7, and 8. They are up on the Team Card Titan YouTube channel, where my deck was. I was playing on the feature match for the round 6, 7, and 8. It was a very big day. I enjoyed it. I do take a bit of criticism for playing Sky Strikers in this deck, but I've played both variants. I've been playing it for a fair bit now, and I just like having the Sky Strikers in it. After ban lists, if Sky Strikers do get hit or the engine itself becomes much less splashable, I'll probably just be playing your standard Salamangreats, just putting probably just more hand traps in the main board to add to the control aspect of the deck. I'll still be playing super poly. I'm very iffy about playing desires. You probably will have to play 3 desires once it goes. I just really don't like banishing in some Salamangreats with having so many cards. Or well, 2 of your main cards out 1. You don't want to banish Gazelle if you can't search it out first. If you have to shotgun and put a desires, it's really bad, and that is really that is why I started going to the Sky Striker engine, being able to get the draw and search any card without having to banish anything. Very good situation to be in, actually. But yeah, again, if you guys enjoyed this video, please consider supporting me by liking this video and pushing that subscribe button. So yeah, you guys will definitely be seeing me next time. See you guys. Does